Damn right. Detroit Den 313. We're back. Game week. Banging out a few episodes, just to keep us busy before the game. Before we get going, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you don't miss our new content. Steve, talk to the people.
There's been a saying in the Perkins household for a very long time when it comes to the holidays and receiving gifts. And the saying is, if you don't believe, you don't receive.
Mm-hmm.
Christmas is coming a little early this year for the Detroit Lions. We're getting CJ Gardner-Johnson back. He said December 20th, but our next game is December 24th. So he's going to beat Santa to the game. He's going to be there before old St. Nick. Big addition. We only got to see him for like 1.5 games. What do you think? I mean, I know how you feel about CJ Gardner-Johnson. I know very well how you feel about him.
I love him, man.
Tell us what he means to the Lions.
First thing I'm going to say is, because I feel like Dan Campbell, when he got on that podium a couple weeks ago, just killed my dreams. Like, the way that Dan Campbell was acting on the podium a couple weeks ago, I would have thought CJ Gardner-Johnson wasn't coming back for 5 years. He's like, well, pump the brakes. You know what I mean? So I'm going to say allegedly, because we're going off of CJ Gardner-Johnson's post, if I'm correct, right? He said
his Instagram post.
Yeah, his post said December 20th. But if he's back, baby, if he's back, it's gonna be electric. And I just even mean his vocalness, his energy on the field. Like, we won't even get into the play. We all know what he is when he's on the field playing, but that back right before the playoffs, back at this important stretch where we got right after the Broncos game, right? So it'll be Minnesota,
16.
Dallas Cowboys, and then Minnesota again. If I was
two teams who passed the ball very well too.
Yeah, if I was Jada Pickett Smith, I would be like, please don't let this guy come back.
The Pastronaut. Yeah. So let me ask you, I'm excited he's coming back. I think we need a little bit more depth of secondary. I think sometimes our zone coverages are not looking very good. Inconsistent zone coverage. But I've got a question for you. I know he's not going to fix our pass rush. I know that. He's not going to help that D-line that much. Maybe with some coverage sacks. Do you think he is the biggest addition for this defense that we could possibly get that we have available?
Without a doubt. Like, you're talking
bigger than James Houston.
Yeah, absolutely. You know how I feel about James Houston, man. James Houston is not going to solve our problems. I truly think that Bruce Irvin is more of an impact player than James Houston would be. Again, no offense to James Houston. I love that season that he had last year. He was a bit of a surprise on the scene, but I say we're at a point now where Houston, there's no longer a real problem. And that guy, like how he was getting physically dealt with before that happened, before he got injured. So I think, on pass rush downs, he's a person that could potentially impact the game here or there. But outside of that,
in coverage, he's what I would call a liability.
Yeah, he's what the world would call a liability.
But on like these third and longs, I think James Houston has tremendous speed. He doesn't have a lot of tricks. He doesn't have a lot of tools in his toolbox, like the term we use. Yeah. But I do think he's got great speed off the line. I think he could at least force some pressures. He's at least a guy that you have to account for. So let's talk a little bit about CJ a little more. Like I said, I've noticed our secondary just being inconsistent with zone and man coverage. So it seems like, I think Aiden Hutchinson said in his interview, it seems like we either get a 3 and out or teams go 15 plays down the field on us and score a touchdown. It's just inconsistent play from all levels is what Aiden said. And I agree with that completely just from watching. And I'm not saying that because I love Aiden. I think that's exactly what happens with this defense. We either get a 3 and out or the other team goes on a 15 play drive touchdown. How is CJ going to make this defense more consistent?
I think his leadership and his vocalness, man. I think Dan Campbell mentioned that our defense is playing pretty well, but the young guys here and there are making crucial mistakes, which give up big plays or give up plays that get teams out of the third and longs and third and mediums. So I think with CJ being out there, I think he is the guy that is going to demand that those mistakes don't get made. He's the guy that is going to be a little bit more vocal, a little bit more intense. He's going to be our Brian Dawkins. He's going to be our
people accountable.
Yeah, he's going to be our Ray Lewis. He is going to be the guy that's out there getting in people's faces, talking the talk, as we say, and motivating guys.
So what you just said is CJ Gardner-Johnson, bigger impact on a football field than Ray Lewis. That's what people are going to say in the comments.
No. That's
Be
not what I
prepared.
said.
Be
No,
prepared. That's what's
didn't
coming.
say that.
It's going to happen. I might get on my account and say it. Speaking of defense, we talk CJ. I know how you feel about him. Love him. Leader of the defense. Didn't get to see him a whole lot this year so far. Got injured in the first home opener. I don't want to criticize Brad Holmes, but we got to go down this road of Bruce Irvin.
Yeah.
Good game last week. Now he's benched. What do you think's going on with Bruce Irvin?
Honestly, he popped up right after the game with an ankle injury. So I think it could be a little bit of that veteran load management kind of, let's see what we have with the Salim McNeil situation. What better time than now to see what we have with the guys that we have already, the young guys on this defensive line, and let's get him rested up, let him heal up, let that ankle get a week, of healing. We've seen what he can do. And let's make sure we get a good vision of what we have here. I think benching him gives an opportunity to have another guy on the field that maybe would have been a guy that we didn't bring up.
I just assumed he wasn't going to play Sunday because he had to pick up an extra shift at the Circle K for the fine that the NFL hit him with earlier today.
I did see that.
I just assumed maybe like they offered him time and a half for Sundays or maybe even double time. And he's like, I can't turn this down.
I can't stand you.
Just figured that's what it was.
Yeah, these fines are getting out of control. Maybe we'll do a show on that down the road, but these fines are crazy, man.
Some other names that are in this week, we kind of did our pregame show. I'll tag that video on here at the end screen. So watch the whole episode. It's a damn good game day episode we did the other day. It's up. I'll put it on here at the end of the show. We got a little bit more information about some injuries, some more guys who are in and out. I'm drawing a blank. Buggs. Isaiah Buggs is back in, a guy that a lot of people have been asking about. Where's he at? What's going on?
Yep.
I think Buggs, I don't know what it is. I don't know. He's not a stats guy. He's not a guy who's going to have 8 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 fumbles, whatever. He's not going to blow up a stat sheet. But I do think that this defensive line plays better when Buggs is in there. Am I right or am I wrong?
I feel like he gives us juice, man, and energy. I don't know if it's because of the situation and every time he comes back, it's like his opportunity to prove himself, or if he's got playing with a chip on his shoulder. But when I see him out there, I do, man. I see an impact as well. So I think you're dead on. I'm interested to see what he does with this opportunity with Aleem being out for a few weeks. Does he stamp his place as the guy alongside of Aleem when he comes back? Or because really going into the season, I thought that it was going to be Aleem and Buggs. I wasn't. This is kind of shocking that this is unfolding the way that it is to me. What do you feel?
I think I said in my episode that I did solo the other day, I don't know what's going on with Buggs. I don't know. Did he sleep with Aaron Glenn's wife? Was he sexting his daughter? I don't know what's going on. He's been in and out of the lineup all year. I mean, I'm with you. The first week of the season, I thought we were going to see him in KC, and it came out like 2 days before the game that he was a pretty much a healthy scratch in hockey terms. So it's just kind of been in and out all season. So I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, it's weird, man. Hopefully because we heard all the rumors, and I hate even mentioning that stuff because I don't want to mention like the hearsay when we don't really know concretely what's going on, but hopefully it's figured out and all that stuff is in the hindsight, and we're going to see good football moving forward.
Who else is coming back this week? We kind of got some news today about some players that are active versus inactive.
We should see Levi Onwuzurike. We should see Bradrick Martin, even though he's been kind of a healthy scratch.
Oh, sorry. We're talking Bradrick Martin. I just usually fall asleep.
He's been a healthy scratch, man, but I'm interested to see what we have in him, man. We've got an 11-play sample size of him that was virtually nothing. So I'm interested to see what we have. I'm still a believer in him just because of the skill set, man. So I think he's gonna be an asset for us, whether it's this season or down the road. Just got to learn how to play the game with leverage and pad level.
The one game I remember seeing Bradrick Martin in pads, Monday Night Football against the Raiders, he came out of the tunnel, and I said, that's one of the largest humans I've ever seen.
He's a big guy.
Like how that small sample, but he did not play well in that game.
No, he didn't. He was on skates.
He got moved pretty much whenever an offensive lineman wanted him to move.
Yeah.
That should not be happening for a guy his size. I mean, I need to see some violence out of him. I need to see some aggression. I need to see some dominance.
You know what I need to see out of him?
That's pulse.
Some technique. I will say when I did watch it back, he was getting double teamed a little bit, but I need to see some technique out of him, man. Like that's what the bottom line. When you get to the NFL level of football, and really, if we're talking about the high levels of college football, but which he didn't come from, you can't just muscle guys. When guys know how to use technique and leverage, they're gonna get after you. So that's what it is. You're playing with men now, not boys. And if you don't have technique, they're gonna get you, man. You're gonna get exposed.
Yeah, you're a long way off from playing, Western Kentucky level football. This is the show now.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking at his size, his strength, like the measurables. He learned some technique, could be a player, but I'm just saying, you know how I feel about him. From what I've seen in the small portions, not that impressed. I need to see a little more out of a kid who was drafted in the 3rd round. When I watched Inside the Den and I see Dan and Brad high-fiving over it, I don't see that kind of excitement from me.
Yeah, I think we will though. I think down the road he's going to be a guy that it's kind of going to be similar to J-Mo, man. And we were with J-Mo for the whole time, so I don't mean exactly like J-Mo, but I mean he's going to be a guy down the road that develops into a football player, in my opinion. And we're going to be like, wow, I'm glad we kept Bradrick, or I'm glad that he's on our squad.
I hope so. I'd love to be wrong, but from the 4 or 5 plays I've seen, ain't it? And I get it. I need to see some more, but I can't see anything from you when you're not in pads. So we're going to find out these next couple of games, aren't we?
We are.
What else we got? Anybody else we need to speak on?
The only thing else that I want to add to it that I'm interested in seeing is Dan Campbell had mentioned that he's going to use the hybrids in Kaminsky and Pascal kind of moving down to DT2. I'm interested to see what those guys look like chasing Justin Fields. So when you mentioned it, the NASCAR, the faster guys when they get out there, that package, when we bust those guys down to DTs and we got Aiden out there and whoever we decide to use at DN, Charles Harris or whoever it is, whoever we decide to use out there, man, what is it going to look like trying to bottle up Justin Fields? And then we're going to put Germ out there because, again, I mentioned Germ can run. I didn't realize how great he runs. So are we going to put him out there? Ancelotti's back. What's going to be different? How are we going to bottle up Justin Fields? Because if we can bottle up Justin Fields, I'll be truly excited about the rest of the season. If we can't, I'm going to be nervous about the rest of the season because we see nothing but athletic mobile quarterbacks for the rest of the year.
I mean, I'm with you, but I think Justin Fields is as athletic as it gets. I mean, this is him and Lamar. We've seen them both. We've seen them a total of 3 times. I'm not saying Dak and Gibbs or whoever the Vikings throw out there is that athletic. I mean, yeah, they can move a little bit, but they aren't moving like Justin Fields. But you're right, and I don't know. I think we got our hands full this week. I think, man, if we could pull this one off, and we talked about it in our game show the other day. We'll check it out. We'll upload it here in a second at the end screen. This is going to be an ugly game. I don't see this being like 42-10. This is going to be one in the trenches. Whoever can make the most big plays, if there's any big plays, field position, that kind of stuff. Ugly game. We got to pull this one off. We can pull this one out, man. I think we could start. I could start looking at my bank account and seeing that money come out for that playoff game because I think this is game of the year right here for me.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I think this could be a big one, man. We get this one. I would just like to say, or like to see us get it decisively, even in an ugly game. I like to see us get up by 7, get up by 10, and just grind it out. But those guys never get the lead back. Them never get within a touchdown. We just keep that 10-point lead and just grind out the game.
Force a couple turnovers.
Let's go.
Justin Fields is prone to turnovers. We know that. So make them pass. I think that's the key. Don't let them run for 150 yards.
I do for Chicago Bears too. I want to put Jalen Johnson on notice too. This is a tryout for the Detroit Lions, so I'll be keeping an eye on you.
Don't be giving away our offseason agenda. Don't be giving away our offseason plans. Yeah, why don't you just tell the fellow Detroit Lions podcasters who are looking at in the future?
Hey, we got to sprinkle a little something for them every now and then. Give them a teaser.
All right, guys. We talked this defense. Christmas is coming early. CJ Gardner-Johnson coming back in a couple weeks.
CD Deuce
getting some other help from some other positions on defense. Losing some other players on defense. Leave a comment down below. Let us know how you feel. If you're nervous, how do you feel about Bruce Irvin sitting out after we just signed him? How do you feel about CJ coming back? Hit that like button. If you're new to this channel, hit that subscribe button. We will be back tomorrow with our recap video, hopefully talking a Lions win.
Facts. Peace.